name's Megan Browne, and I am one of the early childhood student support facilitators. And today we're going to be talking about timers and using timers with your children at home. Right, so timers, they're not just for baking cakes anymore. There's a variety of different ways that you can use timers at home with your students, not only to stop a preferred activity or move on to a new activity, but also to encourage compliance and to start and initiate behavior. So let's just talk about some of those many ways. We all have access to timers at home. So whether it be a digital timer, a timer on your microwave or on your stove, possibly your alarm clock, your phone, or a tablet, or even teaching kids the hands on a clock. So a timer should be something that is easily accessible already in your house. And there's a variety of ways that you can use timers. So the standard way that probably you're already using or most familiar with would be to use a timer to end an activity. So we're going to let our child know that, we will be finished watching TV in 5 minutes, or we are going to clean up in 10 minutes. We need to leave in 15 minutes to go to school. So we set that timer and we teach our child to listen for the beep, and that when the beep goes off, it's time to stop what we're doing and go on to the next activity. I use the timer a lot in my house to end activities, to move on to something new. And I find I have the most success with this form of using the timer when I give my child a choice of how much time they would like. So for instance, I, in my mind, would like them to, within relatively 5 minutes, be finished with an activity they're doing so we can start bath time. So I might give my child a choice of, do you want 5 minutes or do you want 6 minutes? Give them the choice. Then I go ahead and set that timer and let them know when the timer goes off, we'll be all finished and go take a bath. When the timer is the one helping end the activity and it's not a grown-up or a person coming in and repeatedly asking them to stop, you will see much better compliance. Another way we can use a timer would be to race the clock. I like to do this one at home as well, as I will set so many minutes on the clock that I want my child to complete something. So for example, I need you to clean up all the cars in the cleanup area or in the block area. So maybe I would say, okay, do you think you can get those cleaned up before the clock goes off? So I am going to set the timer for a longer period of time that I know it will take them to clean up so that they can have success and beat the clock. So this is a great way to initiate behavior by using the timer. You can also use a timer to increase independent play. So first, you are going to need to teach your child some things that they can do independently by themselves, or pick out toys that you know they can play with by themselves. And perhaps you might set a timer and say, you know what, I'm going to set this timer. You're going to play by yourself while mom goes and does the dishes or does something else, so that we're increasing the independent play. I would start out in short chunks if this is something that your child has difficulty with, so that you can end on a success note and teach them over time that they can increase that time. Hey, maybe you just need a quick energy release at home, especially with the pandemic and being at home more frequently, and with the weather not being as nice. Perhaps you just need an energy release at your house. So get out the timer, set a timer for 5 minutes, and just let your kids know that we're going to have crazy loud noise time to get the energy out. And then when that timer goes off, we'll be all finished. You can make it lots of fun. You could have a dance party during it. You could jump up and down. It's a fun way to get an energy release with an ending in sight. If you have multiple children at home, perhaps you're feeling like when you try to spend time with one child, the other child is interfering or also asking you questions and wanting attention at the same time. So use the timer to schedule one-on-one time with the child. Let your other children know that for these 15 minutes, I'm going to be with so-and-so, and I ask that you don't disturb us or bother us or ask any questions at that time, and it will need to wait until the timer goes off. Turn taking. We use the timers all the time at school for turn taking. So perhaps you have that one coveted toy or only one tablet at home that you need your kids to share and take turns. So you can set that timer and teach the turn taking. So you get it for 5 minutes and then the next person gets it for 5 minutes. It's a great way to work on turn taking. And again, it's the timer that is going off that is designating that that person's time is over, not the other sibling or the other adult trying to get access to the toy before it's their turn. Also, to limit screen time. This is something that I do very frequently with my boys at home. I will set the timer for how much time they can have during given parts of the day. And a lot of tablets and apps have those features built in so that it will automatically go off or something pops up on the screen to let them know that their time is going to be up soon. And perhaps you as an adult just need a minute to regroup, take some deep breaths, maybe use the bathroom by yourself. So use a timer to indicate to your kids that you do not want to be disturbed during this short period of time. Mom, dad, grandma, everybody, somebody needs a break. So we're going to set the timer and ask that you respect to not be disturbed during that time. You could also use the timer to create anticipation. So perhaps you're going on a special trip or you're going to do something fun that day. And you'll want to let them know that we're going to count down before we leave to have lots of fun. So you can use the timer to create anticipation. I caution on this one too, though, because if it is children that have a hard time waiting, too much time on the timer might cause more anxiety for them and then cause additional meltdowns. All right, some tips and tricks when using the timer. If you're just starting to use the timer for either ending an activity or for some other ways, make sure that you started out using it just for fun. So that stuff like playtime or one-on-one time or reading a book, so that your child can develop a positive association with the timer and not necessarily that the timer means a time out from a preferred toy or that they're in trouble. So we're going to use the timer in a positive way. You definitely want to make sure prior to using any timer that you teach your child what the sound or the beep is going to be like, and then make sure it is loud enough so that they can hear it. If they're in the next room and you're using the microwave timer, you want to make sure it's loud enough so that they can hear it. And then what they'll do when the timer goes off. Some kids startle easily, so you want to make sure that that noise isn't going to trigger a meltdown or some additional anxiety when that goes off. One other tip is to always stick to the rule of the timer. If you ever let your child argue against the timer, oh, it wasn't enough time, or the timer lied, and then you extend their time, and so you don't follow through that the timer went off and it's time to end. And so if you ignore it and then they get an additional 5 minutes without coming, the timer's going to lose its effect. If you want to honor your child's request for additional time and the timer goes off and maybe they say, can I have 1 more minute or can I have 5 more minutes? I will do this frequently at home. If my kids ask politely, I will reset that timer for 5 more minutes or 1 more minute. But then I'm going to make sure that when that timer goes off again a second time, that I am there to make sure that they do transition to the next activity so that we're not losing the effect and the power of the timer. So in addition to just standard digital timers, there are a variety of visual timers that might be helpful. Your child does not need to know how to tell time to understand that there is a duration and a period before they hear a noise and need to stop something. So for most kids, a digital timer will work. And if you build in that choice of, do you want 5 minutes or 8 minutes, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they'll start to associate that 10 minutes is longer than 5. So they'll learn that period of time. But there's also some visual timers that you can find. This one with the red and the circle is called a time timer, and you can order those on Amazon. And what it does is you set the timer, and as the red disappears, it is showing them that their time is lessening and they have less time. So the less amount of red, the least amount of time they're going to have. There's also visual timers that might indicate a red, yellow, and green, similar to a stoplight. So that might be something that's interest your child, that green is go, we're still playing. When it turns to yellow, I need to start preparing myself to be finished. And then when it is red, then it is finished. There's also a lot of apps for timers that you can get for on your phone or on the tablet, similar to visual timers like this. I do caution that using solely those on your phone and your tablets, because what happens then if those aren't charged, or you don't have access to it, or it's time for the tablet to be put away, you don't want to be getting it out then just to set a timer. So to teach your kids that there's a variety of timers that can be used. So I encourage you to get started today, and I do think that you will be happy that you did and find that the timer really can be a game changer for you in a lot of things and will help decrease a lot of power struggles, and also can be your co-parent in the end. Thanks.